The terminal buzzed with the chaos of departures, but for Christopher Rivera, it felt like the world had frozen. His mother, Ellen, stood there with her suitcase in hand, her face twisted in a mix of rage and regret, as she spat the words that shattered him. "You're not my son anymore. Not like this." She turned and walked away, leaving the 22-year-old standing alone amidst strangers, his backpack slipping from his shoulder as tears blurred the flight boards overhead. Christopher's mind raced back to the argument that morning in their Chicago hotel room, the one that escalated from whispers to screams. He'd finally come out to her, hoping for understanding after years of hiding, but instead, she accused him of choosing a lifestyle that dishonored their family. "What would your father say?" she'd yelled, invoking the ghost of the man who died when Christopher was 10. Now, abandoned at O'Hare International Airport, he felt the weight of her rejection crush his chest like a physical blow. Why did I think she could change? He thought, sinking onto a cold bench. The pain wasn't just the loss. It was the betrayal of the one person who'd promised unconditional love. He wandered the airport aimlessly, his flight home to New York canceled in his mind even though the ticket burned in his pocket. Hours blurred into a numb haze until he found himself outside, in the arrivals pickup zone, where exhaust fumes mixed with the chill of early autumn. That's when he saw the dog, a scruffy mutt with matted fur and sad eyes, nosing through a trash bin. Something in its desperate scrabble mirrored Christopher's own turmoil. Without thinking, he knelt down, offering a half-eaten granola bar from his bag. The dog approached warily, tail low, but took the food gently. "Hey, buddy," Christopher whispered, his voice cracking. "Looks like we're both lost." As the sun dipped lower, Christopher realized he couldn't just leave the animal there. He coaxed it into following him back inside, ignoring the stares from passers-by. Security eyed him suspiciously, but he pleaded his case. "It's a stray. I can't abandon it." They let him keep it temporarily, suggesting he contact animal control. But in that moment, the dog became his anchor, a silent companion in his isolation. He named it Max, after his late father, a small act of defiance against the void Ellen had left. That night, crashing on an airport lounge chair with Max curled at his feet, Christopher's thoughts spiraled. What if this is karma? For lying to myself all these years, for pretending to date girls in high school just to fit in. The societal whispers he'd grown up with in their conservative suburb, the church sermons decrying sin, the neighbors' judgmental glances at anyone different, had burrowed deep into his psyche. Coming out felt like freedom, but now it tasted like exile. Max stirred, licking his hand, and for the first time that day, Christopher felt a flicker of warmth. Little did he know, the dog's collar, hidden under the grime, held a tag that would unravel secrets buried for over a decade. The next morning, Christopher decided to head to New York anyway, buying a bus ticket since flying with a stray seemed impossible. He cleaned Max up in a restroom sink, revealing a faded tag engraved with an address in Brooklyn and a name, property of M. Rivera. His heart skipped. M. Rivera? His father's initial was M for Marcus. Coincidence? Or something more? Doubt gnawed at him as he boarded the Greyhound, Max smuggled in his backpack. The journey was long, filled with restless introspection. Why would Mom hide something like this? If the dog was connected to Dad, what else had she kept from me? Arriving in Brooklyn late that evening, Christopher's small apartment felt emptier than ever. His roommate, Jamie, a fellow NYU dropout turned barista, wasn't home, leaving Christopher to confront the silence alone. He examined the tag closer under the kitchen light. M. Rivera, 718-555-0198. The number was his father's old cell, disconnected years ago. A chill ran through him. Dad had loved dogs. They'd had one when Christopher was little, but it ran away after the funeral. Or so Mom said. Questions flooded his mind, each one a stab at the fragile narrative of his childhood. Was Max that dog? Impossible, too many years had passed. But the possibility ignited a spark of hope amid the despair. He dialed the number anyway, hearing only a dead tone. Frustration built, mixing with the raw ache of abandonment. Ellen's voice echoed in his head. "You're choosing this path. Don't expect me to follow." Her words fueled a burning anger. How could she preach family values while discarding her own son? Christopher paced the room, Max watching with those knowing eyes. He needed answers, but where to start? The address on the tag led to a storage unit in Queens, his family's old one, abandoned after the move to Chicago. Tomorrow he'd go there. For now, sleep evaded him, his mind a battlefield of what-ifs and whys. As dawn broke, Christopher set out with Max on a leash improvised from a belt. The subway ride was a blur of faces, each one a reminder of the normalcy he craved but couldn't grasp. At the storage facility, the manager recognized the name Rivera and let him in with proof of ID. Unit 47 was dusty, filled with boxes of forgotten relics. Old photos, Dad's tools, childhood toys. Rifling through them, Christopher's hands trembled. One box labeled "Personal" held letters. Dozens of them, addressed to Marcus from a man named David. The contents were intimate, affectionate, speaking of secret meetings and shared dreams. Christopher's world tilted. Dad was gay? The realization hit like a freight train, stirring a storm of emotions. Validation, confusion, betrayal. Why hide this? Mom must have known. The letters dated back to before Christopher was born, painting a picture of a hidden life. Marcus had chosen family over love, or so it seemed. But one letter stood out. "I can't keep pretending, Marcus. The dog knows our secret. He's our witness." Max whined at his feet, as if understanding. Tears streamed down Christopher's face. This wasn't just abandonment. It was a legacy of lies. The weight pressed harder. His own struggles mirrored his father's. But at what cost? He clutched a photo of Marcus holding a puppy that looked just like Max. The dog wasn't a stray. He was a bridge to the past, forcing Christopher to question everything. The discovery in the storage unit left Christopher reeling, his mind a whirlwind of fragmented memories and newfound truths. He sat on the cold concrete floor, letters scattered around him like accusations, each word from David to his father deepening the cut. How could Dad live like that? Trapped in a marriage, hiding his heart. The hypocrisy stung. Marcus had preached honesty to young Christopher, yet buried his own authenticity. Max nudged his leg, pulling him back from the abyss. "You knew him," Christopher murmured, stroking the dog's ear. "You were there." Back in the apartment, Jamie found him staring blankly at the wall. "Dude, you look like hell. What happened with your mom?" Christopher spilled it all, the airport scene, the dog, the letters. Jamie, openly bi and unapologetic, listened with furrowed brows. "That's messed up, man. But this? Your dad being queer? It's like the universe is handing you a mirror." Christopher nodded, but inside, resentment brewed. Mirror or curse? If Dad couldn't live openly, what chance did he have? The thought fueled a restless energy. He needed to find David. Tracking down the man proved easier than expected. An old address in the letters led to a public records search on his phone. David Harlan, now 55, living in Manhattan, running a small bookstore. Christopher's pulse raced as he dialed the number listed. A warm voice answered, "Harlan's Haven. How can I help?" He froze, then stammered, "Is this David? I'm Christopher Rivera, Marcus's son." Silence stretched, then a sharp intake of breath. "Christopher. God. I thought this day might never come." They met the next day at a quiet cafe in Greenwich Village, the heart of New York's LGBTQ scene. David was silver-haired, kind-eyed, with a gentle demeanor that belied years of hidden sorrow. Max recognized him instantly, bounding forward with joyful barks. "Max, you old rascal." David laughed, kneeling to hug the dog. Over coffee, the stories poured out. David and Marcus had met in college, fallen in love, but societal pressures, 1980s America, conservative families, forced them apart. Marcus married Ellen to fit in, but their affair lingered in shadows. "Your father loved you fiercely," David said, eyes misting. "But he couldn't leave her. The guilt ate at him." Christopher's chest tightened. Guilt, that word echoed his own fears. Did Mom know? David sighed. She suspected, confronted him once. After his death, heart attack, they said, she found the letters, swore me to secrecy. Said it would destroy you. Destroy me? Christopher thought bitterly. Hiding it destroyed us all. The revelation stirred a maelstrom. Empathy for Dad's torment, fury at Mom's complicity. Why protect a lie at the cost of truth? David's hand on his shoulder grounded him. You're braver than he was, Christopher. Coming out takes guts. But bravery felt hollow as Christopher navigated the fallout. Ellen called that evening, her voice laced with forced concern. Where are you? I was upset. But come home. He exploded. Home? You left me like trash. And what about Dad's secrets? She went silent, then denied everything. Don't dig up the past. It's sinful. The call ended in shouts, leaving Christopher trembling. Sinful, that word, weaponized by church and society, had chained his father and now aimed at him. Inner conflict raged. Forgive her ignorance, or cut ties for self-preservation. Days blurred into a tense routine. At his part-time job in a Brooklyn coffee shop, Christopher faced microaggressions. A customer's sneer at his rainbow pin, a coworker's joke about those people. Each jab amplified his isolation, making him question if openness was worth the pain. Max became his confidant, walks in Prospect Park turning into monologues. If Dad had chosen David, would I even exist? Is my life built on his sacrifice? The dog listened, a living reminder of choices deferred. Jamie pushed him toward community, dragging him to a support group for queer youth from conservative families. There, stories mirrored his, parents disowning, siblings turning away. One guy, Tyler, shared a tale of reconciliation gone wrong, reigniting Christopher's doubts. Tyler was tall, with piercing blue eyes and a quiet intensity that drew Christopher in. They talked after, bonding over shared wounds. My dad beat me when I came out, Tyler confessed. But I fought back, left home. You have to choose yourself. Christopher felt a spark, not just attraction but recognition. Yet vulnerability terrified him. What if love leads to more loss? As weeks passed, Ellen's pressure mounted. Texts begging forgiveness, laced with guilt trips. Think of our family name. Family? The word soured. David offered perspective over dinner one night. Marcus regretted not telling you. Don't repeat his mistakes. Inspired, Christopher confronted his mother in a long email, detailing the letters, demanding truth. Her response was a bombshell. I loved him enough to stay, even knowing. But you're throwing it all away. The accusation ignited fury. Throwing away what? A facade? The climax built when Tyler invited him on a date, a simple walk in Central Park. Nerves churned. Christopher's mind screamed warnings. Dad's double life had cost him everything: health, happiness. Am I doomed to the same? But as they strolled, hands brushing, Tyler's story of resilience chipped at his walls. Pain shapes us, but it doesn't define us, Tyler said. For the first time, Christopher glimpsed hope beyond the hurt. Yet shadows lingered. A late-night call from Ellen revealed her own torment. I was scared you'd end up like him, alone, broken. Her words pierced, blending pity with rage. Alone? Like you left me? The conversation ended unresolved, leaving Christopher to wrestle with forgiveness versus freedom. Max curled beside him, a symbol of unearthed truths, as sleep finally came, fraught with dreams of what-ifs. The email exchange with Ellen escalated into a full-blown confrontation when she showed up unannounced at Christopher's apartment door, her face pale and determined under the hallway fluorescent lights. We need to talk, face to face, she demanded, pushing past him before he could protest. Max growled low, sensing the tension, but Christopher hushed him, his heart pounding with a mix of dread and defiance. This wasn't just about her abandonment. It was about decades of deception that had poisoned their family roots. They sat at the kitchen table, the air thick with unspoken accusations. Ellen's eyes darted to the letters spread out like evidence in a trial. How dare you go digging? She hissed. Your father wanted this buried. Christopher leaned forward, voice steady despite the storm inside. Wanted? Or were you the one burying it? You knew about David, about everything, and you let me grow up thinking Dad was perfect, straight-laced. Her flinch confirmed it, but she countered, I protected you from the shame. Society isn't kind to people like that. Like me, Christopher thought, the words a dagger to his soul. The hypocrisy burned. Her protection had left him unprepared, vulnerable to the very prejudices she embodied. The argument spiraled, voices rising as old wounds reopened. Ellen admitted to finding the letters after Marcus's death, confronting David, and deciding silence was mercy. He chose us, Christopher. Me and you. Don't dishonor that. But Christopher saw it differently, choice born of fear, not love. He died unhappy because of lies like yours, he shot back. Tears welled in her eyes, but so did defiance. And you? Parading around with that pin, that lifestyle. It's a slap in his face. The word lifestyle ignited fury. It diminished his identity to a whim, ignoring the innate truth he'd fought to accept. Inside, Christopher's mind fractured. Part of him ached for her, a widow clinging to illusions amid grief. But another part screamed betrayal. How many times had she dismissed his phases as a teen, pushing him toward girls, church youth groups? Her love felt conditional, a cage disguised as care. As she left, slamming the door, her parting words echoed, If you keep this up, you'll lose everyone. Lose? He'd already lost her at the airport. The solitude that followed was crushing, amplifying doubts. Was she right? In a world quick to judge, was authenticity a luxury or a liability? Tyler became his lifeline, their dates evolving into deep conversations that peeled back layers of pain. One evening, over pizza in Tyler's cramped studio, Christopher shared the full saga. Tyler listened, then shared his own scar. Disowned at 18, homeless for months until he rebuilt. Family isn't blood if it poisons you, he said, his hand covering Christopher's. The touch sparked warmth, but also terror. Vulnerability meant risk. What if Tyler leaves too? Dad's ghost loomed, a warning of love's cost in a hostile society. David's involvement added complexity. He invited Christopher to a memorial event for Marcus at the bookstore, a quiet gathering of old friends who knew the real him. Their stories flowed, Marcus's humor, his secret advocacy for gay rights through anonymous donations. He regretted not coming out, one friend said. Feared losing you. The words twisted Christopher's gut, regret as inheritance. Mingling, he felt a sense of belonging absent from his upbringing. Yet guilt nagged. By embracing this, was he betraying Mom's sacrifices? Ellen didn't stop. Calls turned manipulative, invoking religion and tradition. God doesn't make mistakes, but choices lead to hell. Her words reopened childhood scars, Sunday school lessons equating difference with damnation. Christopher's inner turmoil peaked during a sleepless night. Am I choosing hell or escaping it? Max's presence reminded him of Dad's hidden life, urging confrontation over complacency. Pushed to the edge, Christopher attended a family therapy session Ellen arranged via video, hoping for breakthrough. The therapist probed gently, but Ellen dominated. He's confused, influenced by that city. Christopher exploded. Confused? I've known since I was 12. You ignored it, just like you ignored Dad's truth. The session ended in stalemate, but it forced Ellen to admit partial fault. I was scared. Losing Marcus broke me. I couldn't lose you too. Her vulnerability cracked Christopher's armor, stirring unwanted empathy. Fear as motivator. Did it excuse her actions? Meanwhile, his bond with Tyler deepened, challenging his defenses. A weekend trip to the Hudson Valley tested boundaries. Amid hikes and fireside talks, Christopher confessed his fears. Love feels like a trap after seeing Dad's life. Tyler pulled him close. It's not a trap if we face it together. The moment was electric, but Christopher pulled back internally. Trust meant potential devastation. Societal pressures compounded the drama. At work, a homophobic regular complained about Christopher's agenda, leading to a tense meeting with his boss. Tone it down, she advised. Tone down who I am? The incident fueled rage, mirroring broader fights, bills in Congress, protests in streets. Christopher joined a rally with Tyler, chanting for equality, but doubt whispered, is change worth the personal toll? The file's emotional crest came when David revealed a final letter from Marcus, written days before his death. Tell Christopher everything if he needs it. I love him enough to set him free. Tears flowed as Christopher read it, the words a balm and a burden. Freedom at what price? Ellen's next call begged reconciliation. Come home for Thanksgiving. He hesitated, torn between healing and self-protection. The decision loomed, heavy with consequences, as Max watched, embodying the secrets that bound them all. Thanksgiving loomed like a storm cloud, Ellen's invitation a gauntlet thrown. Christopher agonized over it for days, his mind a battlefield of loyalty versus liberation. Accepting meant facing her judgments anew. Declining severed the last thread. Go, Tyler urged during a tense dinner. Confront her, or it'll haunt you. But David's advice differed. Protect your peace. Marcus would want that. The conflicting counsel amplified his inner chaos. Whose voice to heed when his own was drowned in doubt? He chose to go, flying to Chicago with Max in tow. The dog's presence a talisman against isolation. The house felt foreign, echoes of childhood happiness now tainted by truth. Ellen greeted him stiffly, eyes flicking to the dog with recognition. That's impossible. Christopher didn't mince words. Max was Dad's, with David. Her face crumpled, but she composed quickly. Dinner first, talk later. The meal was a minefield. Relatives, unaware aunts, uncles, chatted obliviously, but tension simmered. When Cousin Sarah asked about his girlfriend, Christopher snapped, boyfriend, actually. Gasps followed. Ellen's glare could cut glass. Post-dinner, in the living room, the dam broke. You're embarrassing us, she accused. Christopher countered. Embarrassing? Like Dad's secret life. Whispers erupted. Family secrets spilled into the open. Aunts defended Ellen. She suffered enough. Uncles muttered about modern nonsense. Christopher felt exposed, raw, his identity dissected like a flaw. Inside, shame battled pride. Why justify my existence? Max barked at the raised voices, grounding him. Ellen pulled him aside. I stayed for you, sacrificed my happiness. Her confession hit hard. Mutual martyrdom? You could have left, been free, Christopher said. Like I'm trying to be. Tears streamed. For the first time, vulnerability bridged their divide. But bridges can burn. That night, alone in his old room, Christopher uncovered more. Dad's journal, hidden in a drawer, chronicling his torment. Entries spoke of loving David yet fearing societal ruin, choosing stability over passion. For Christopher, I'll endure. The words crushed him, endurance as love's price tag. Was that the model? Sacrifice self for others? Sleep evaded, replaced by visions of alternate lives. Dad out and proud, family intact or shattered differently. Back in New York, the trip's aftermath unraveled him. Ellen's follow-up texts mixed apologies with pleas. Change for me. Change? The demand ignited rebellion. Tyler noticed his withdrawal. You're pulling away, Christopher confessed. What if loving you costs me everything, like it did Dad? The argument escalated. Tyler's hurt eyes accusing him of cowardice. Love isn't a cost. It's a choice. But choices haunted Christopher. Dad's had led to early grave. Community pressures mounted. At the support group, stories of disownment fueled his fears. One member's suicide attempt chilled him. Society grinds us down, the leader said. Christopher internalized it. Fight or flee. He volunteered at a queer shelter, witnessing resilience amid ruin. Teens like him abandoned, rebuilding. It stirred hope, but also terror. Am I strong enough? David's health scare, a minor heart episode, intensified the drama. At the hospital, he confided, don't wait like Marcus did. Live openly, or regret will kill you. The words echoed Dad's letter, pushing Christopher toward decision. But Ellen's call during the visit twisted the knife. See? That lifestyle leads to this. Her ignorance enraged. Lifestyle? It's who we are. The emotional peak hit when Tyler issued an ultimatum after a heated fight. Commit to us, or let fear win. Christopher's mind screamed. Commitment meant vulnerability, potential loss. Memories flooded. Airport abandonment, Dad's hidden pain, societal sneers. He walked out, regretting instantly. Alone with Max. Tears fell. Why can't I choose happiness? The dog licked his face. A silent urging toward truth. Reconciliation attempts followed. Christopher emailed Ellen a final plea. Accept me, or lose me. Her response was tentative. I'm trying. Trying enough? With Tyler, a midnight apology mended fences. I'm scared, but I want this. Their embrace felt like victory, but fragile. Yet, shadows persisted. A workplace promotion hinged on fitting in, forcing Christopher to hide his pin. The compromise gnawed. Betray self for security? Dad's path revisited. Inner monologue raged. Is partial authenticity better than none? The question lingered as he navigated the minefield of identity in a divided America. The fragile truce with Ellen shattered weeks later when she visited New York, insisting on meeting Tyler. To understand, she claimed, but Christopher sensed judgment lurking. Dinner at a neutral diner turned interrogation. What do your parents think? She asked Tyler, who replied coolly, They don't. Disowned me years ago. Ellen's sympathy masked disapproval. Such a shame. Christopher intervened. Shame? Like abandoning your son at an airport. The table tensed. Her retort stung. I panicked. But this path, it's dangerous. Dangerous, the word unleashed a torrent. Christopher's voice rose. Dangerous is living a lie, like Dad did. Diner stared, but he didn't care. Ellen's tears flowed. I loved him through it all. Through it, as if his orientation was a burden to endure. The revelation poured out, journal entries, David's stories, exposing her complicity. You enabled the hiding. She broke. I was trapped too. By expectations, by love. For the first time, Christopher saw her not as villain, but victim of the same system that crushed them all. The night ended in exhaustion, but seeds of change sprouted. Ellen stayed the weekend, walking Max with Christopher, listening to his stories without interruption. I don't understand, but I'll try, she whispered. Try, a word heavy with possibility and pain. Inside, Christopher wrestled. Forgiveness heals, but at what cost to self? Dad's journal haunted. Love requires sacrifice. Whose sacrifice? Tyler's patience wore thin amid the family drama. It's always about them, he accused during a blowout argument in Central Park. Leaves crunched underfoot as words flew. I'm fighting for us, Christopher yelled. But doubt crept. Was he? Societal backlash intensified. A hate crime in the news mirrored his fears, protesters clashing over rights. At a vigil, Christopher spoke publicly for the first time. We deserve to live without fear. Applause followed, but so did threats online. Vulnerability's price tag escalated. David's recovery brought closure. Over tea, he gifted Christopher a photo album of Marcus's hidden life. Laughing with David, Max as a pup. He'd be proud, David said. Pride a balm against the wounds. But Ellen's tentative acceptance clashed with reality. A family call revealed relatives' boycott. We can't support sin. The rejection cascaded, amplifying isolation. Christopher's mind fractured. Build new family, or cling to blood? The ultimate betrayal came from within. Tempted by a job offer in a conservative firm, Christopher considered downplaying his identity. For stability, he rationalized. Tyler saw through it. That's regression. The fight peaked. Choose, us or hiding. Christopher's heart broke as Tyler walked away. Alone, sobs racked him. Why does love demand so much? Max whined. A reminder of unearthed truths turning to chains. Reunion efforts followed. Christopher chased Tyler to his apartment. I choose you, us. Tears mingled in reconciliation, but scars remained. Ellen's evolution surprised. Attending a PFLAG meeting, she shared her story, admitting faults. "I was wrong." The admission cracked Christopher's defenses. Forgiveness bloomed, bittersweet. Yet, awakening dawned. Through therapy, Christopher unpacked generations of trauma, societal norms enforcing conformity, moral dilemmas pitting self against kin. He volunteered more, advocating for queer rights, turning pain into purpose. Max, ever faithful, symbolized resilience. In the end, as snow blanketed Brooklyn, Christopher stood with Tyler and Ellen at a holiday gathering. Awkward, but united. Wounds healed slowly, but the journey illuminated. Truth's cost is high, but silence's is higher. Was it right for Christopher to unearth his father's secrets, knowing it would shatter his mother's world? Or should some truths remain buried to preserve fragile peace?